Open the meeting at 5:02 and a half for the Oregon City Library Board. Present are Dan Millard, Fred Haynes, Don Wright, Ellen Sheridan, Maureen Cole, and Linda. Okay. Approval of the minutes. Did everyone get a chance to read those?
Mm-hmm. Okay. I move they be approved as typed out.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Okay. Are you speaking under public comments, Linda? Okay.
Yay, 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 yay! For everybody.
Okay. Just in time for the director's report, huh?
Great.
Welcome. That's okay. We just barely started.
All right, so the director's report, the statistics were more or less hanging in there on. We're kind of down overall for the year, but it's not enough to be horrible. Next year will be horrible. We'll let that happen next year.
I think it's going to change immensely when the library's done, probably.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's going to go down, and then
Yeah.
it's just going to go.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then our events, our big event was the Foods for Fine that we did countywide was very successful, and we collected a lot of food, and we got $1,700 worth of fines off of people's cards. So that's always really nice because then they feel more free to use library resources and all that. And then for May, I mean, we're already halfway through May, and the May the 4th was very good with 150 people.
Nice.
And the cosplayers came back. We didn't even know because it's the kind of thing you contact them and they may or may not get back in touch with you, but all the same ones that Laura had her picture with from 2013, they all came back and they were great. And actually,
You mean with Princess Leia?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like that is Princess Leia, right?
Oh, it is Princess Leia, yes. We got some really cute pictures of them holding books and reading. And we've got to get, I think Michelle was going to create a little album on Facebook of them because they just sent us their pictures, and which are far and away better than our pictures. And they're just adorable. And we've got some group shots with all the staff that were working that night, but some really cute ones of them standing there reading. And maybe they'll give us permission to use them for, I mean, I know they would give us for at least advertising the same event next year, because I definitely think we should just make it an annual signature event and just get better and better at it each year because people love it. So that went really well. And then tomorrow night is the cello guy. And the other big thing was that the Library Supporter of the Year award was presented to the PAC at the Oregon Library Association meeting at the awards luncheon, and Linda Orzen came down and accepted that on behalf of the PAC. And then we decided that what we're going to do is do a local presentation at the groundbreaking, when the maximum number of library supporters would be counted on to be there and everybody else could see what a great job they did. So, I mean, it's a few months after the fact, but that's okay because it's a good event. It would be a good thing to happen at that event. So that was really cool to talk about the library in front of a room of about 500 other librarians and library staff. And they're just rooting for us so much. It's just really great, all the support out there that exists. That was just really fun.
Good.
And then we hired Gina Bacon. She started about 3 weeks ago, maybe. Well, she started
before OLA.
right after OLA, and she is just going gangbusters. Oh my gosh, she's got so much energy and so much enthusiasm, and she's putting together displays and cleaning off countertops and condensing and weeding, and everything just already just like looks so much better. which is so great because we're just going to have to, we've already started our kind of like cleaning and weeding of our existing stuff, because once construction starts, well, it's just going to be especially bad the first 2 to 3 months, because that's when they're going to work on that back wall. So we won't have access to that wall at all. So like all the books in the reference room on that wall will have to go somewhere else. So we're weeding list all the collections so that we can maybe condense it down so that it all fits in the library still. And then we, as of yet, don't know how far in that back wall needs to come, but it's several feet, not just like 1 foot, the temporary wall. Because of what they have to install. They have to install these steel things to kind of shore up that wall to give it some seismic structure. And they're really long and stiff and awkward, and you know, you got to kind of move them in and set them up, and it requires a ton of space. And so we're kind of negotiating on that.
So you'll lose some of the computer stations, or have to shift.
Yeah, exactly. So for instance, one layout might look like all the computer stations like in a row up against that wall.
Yeah.
And then I don't think we'd even have room for the desk. So Gina may go then up to the circulation desk. I don't know. I threw it out to staff yesterday and I said, time for some creative problem solving, everybody. Because we're also probably not going to have access to the storage room downstairs, which is also the break room. So it's summer though, so we're going to be able to go for a walk for our break, or walk over to the Pioneer Center, or come to
Except this
City
is
Hall,
Oregon.
or
Where the weather is not normal.
yes, who knows? So it's going to be very inconvenient for a while.
Yes, it will.
So,
Is
yes,
it going to
will.
be dusty and dirty too?
Most likely.
Most likely.
Yeah, there'll be some of that.
I mean, it's a construction site.
Hot, sticky, dusty. icky.
We still have air conditioning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're going to turn it way up.
Okay.
And put our earplugs on, headphones. So anyway, so Gina is like the right person at the right time kind of thing, because she brings all this enthusiasm. And then our intern, Aaron, we also hired him to work as like an LA1, so which means he could work up to 20 hours a week. So he's helping with the whole Jackson campus stuff, and will help us get all that moved over to Mount Pleasant. So we are going to move forward with that eventual transfer. And then we're moving our shelves out of, we have some shelves up in the Friends storage area that they need us to move, which is kind of perfect, because then we can move those shelves to Mount Pleasant, and that will help us kind of have some surfaces to organize the materials that we're keeping. And even if they're going back into boxes, they can go back in more organized. So just kind of a lot of little legs. You know, we
It's a
need
lot
new
of work.
policies, we need new procedures, we need to think about how to run a 3D printer, we need to just, all kinds of stuff. Yeah. And then, so speaking of 3D printer, our community room and will be essentially able to do all the stuff here. It won't be set up permanently with the dais or anything like that, but it could record meetings. So once we have it, we'll be able to have our library board meeting there, for instance. And so we're working with Mike Neely, who helped set this up, to get that designed. And then that goes to the architect, and it goes into the drawings and everything else. So that's all ready to go. And it will probably benefit us a lot to have the connection with the city on that, because they help pay for all that stuff through PEG funds, which is like a utility Comcast kind of thing.
That's good.
And then we can do that, and then it's connected to cable. So as long as we put the meetings on cable and all that, but that means we could put library programs on cable as well. So it's just a lot of connections going on, but a lot of things that benefit us. So that's basically what I got for the director's report.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I just ask about statistics? The YA has an increase in it?
Yeah, somebody else noticed that in the Friends group too, and I need to go back and look and see if that's really a true increase or if it's because in the past we had juvenile and YA combined, and so therefore, it doesn't have a history to compare itself to.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that that's what we used to do.
Okay.
I just,
I'd like to think it's up.
yeah, and
Well-
I mean, if it's been for more than a year, then it is.
Yeah.
Given how many book to film things that are coming out of YA, there's a lot of
kidding.
kids out there that want to read, Hunger Games, want to read the Giver,
Divergent.
the Divergent, Maze Runner series, all of those,
John Green's books.
yeah.
Yep. So, yeah, so I'll have to look at that, Laura, if I remember.
Just curious.
So that's it for director's report. Any other questions?
I saw a real nice thing in the on Facebook. Actually, it wasn't Facebook. It was the library newsletter. Somebody had sent a nice letter about their yoga.
Oh, yeah.
Yoga for Kids program.
Yeah.
That's out of our library.
That was just a email that somebody sent me randomly, and it just totally made my day. And she was saying how she's been to like 6 other libraries, and she was just so impressed with yoga story time, and how it was really good for. I think she was
Specifically autistic kids.
Autistic kids, yeah, which was awesome, And I do think that incorporating movement into activities like that is really, really important when you can, and it works, and it just works really well with yoga story time. So, and Andy is just fabulous. She's so good. She's so good. And we have another new story time person who's working out really well too. She's got a really great background in children's materials, and she's the children's librarian down at Mount Angel. So she comes up 2 days a week? 3, and then she's also continuing to do the outreach that we had started at Eastham and Oregon City.
Oregon City Preschool and the Head Start at
The Head
Clackamas
Start.
Community College.
Yeah, which is really good to get out there, and I know they really appreciate it too. So, yeah, good stuff.
Good.
So, building project
Project, yep.
report. So DA's here just in time. So, we expect everything to be ready to go by about August 5th or 6th, and have the groundbreaking on August 8th. So that would be permits and approval by the city commission and all that good stuff. The guaranteed maximum price, that's the big thing that we're working towards through all these iterations of the budget and the construction documents. So we're on track right now. We're on budget. Things are looking good. The first things that will get done would be in August will be the work on that back wall. That will be the first thing, and that will be a 2 to 3 month temporary thing. Once that wall is done, then we can kind of move back fully into the reference room. And then the trees, they come down first. And we discovered that after doing a little bit more prying on the trees, is that even if a tree has Dutch elm disease, if you debark it, the beetles are in the bark. So the bark has to be taken care of, hazardous material, but then you actually can use the wood. So now we may end up with a lot of wood. Way more wood than we would ever need, but so we haven't even started brainstorming about possible wood products that we could use, because it's not really designed to be like a real woody library, So,
Well, if you just want it disposed of, I got a fireplace at home.
yeah. Well, I think people in the city would probably like it to be, if nothing, saved for a future building or something, like the police building or something like that, So maybe we can charge them as much as they've charged us for SDCs for public works. We could save it for public works. I think that's a deal in the making.
You could use it for a bench.
Yeah, nice.
Slice
Yeah.
it long.
Well, yeah, we can use it for things like,
Put it somewhere.
but we don't have that many benches that we need, and I mean that could be a lot of
What about the wall of fame for contributors.
It could be a good one. Mhm. And then again, also
Make it
they.
into a slide.
Oh yeah, splinter slide. It would be the new way rage. Don't burn yourself. Get a splinter instead. Until we get into the trees, we don't really know the condition as well. I mean, like it could
Yes,
have
we
some
don't.
rot. It
It
could be
could be
kind of
rotted
nasty.
inside, it's
Yeah,
hard to tell,
it could
yeah.
be.
Yeah.
So it's all a big mystery.
Okay.
But there's that. And then the PrAC meeting will be on the 28th, and I will be on vacation.
Mm-hmm.
And so if any of you wanted to show up, that might be a good time.
So the equipment and layout is what we were shown before.
Yeah. It's kind of the original, you know, with a plastic slide, an 8-foot swing set. It's a 10-foot one now.
Okay.
So it's a 10-foot slide and a 10-foot swing set now.
Right.
So we'd reduce both of those to 8,
Mm-hmm.
and the slide would not be steel.
Mm-hmm.
And then it would be that rubberized material for the surface, which is nice in a lot of ways because it's more accessible.
Mm-hmm.
And it also, you know, as we've talked about, the chips move around a lot and require a lot of maintenance.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah. So Joan will be there and Kurt Lango will be there, and PrAC knows Kurt Lango really, really well. And in fact, he was here last night talking about 2 new possible parks. They're doing park master planning. So as far as programming, it's coming along. We needed more shelving, so we've added more shelving in there. We're meeting virtually again on Friday morning with our Denver architect. And then I think I already talked about Mike Neely doing the design for the community room, and he's going to also try to design it so that our other spaces that we have, screens, whatever kind of screens they are all kind of tied into that, so that it would be actually possible to like broadcast one thing on 4 different locations. Yeah.
That'd be sweet.
So it was really interesting sitting down with him and people that they work with from Willamette Falls Media Center, and just to show my age bias. You weren't at that meeting, were you? No. So I walk in the room and there's 2 gentlemen who definitely were, I would say, close to 70, had to be. But I mean, it was kind of that, I just was like, oh, what are they going to know? What are they? Well, they just came back from like the main national conference in LA and knew everything about everything. And it was so, I'm like, oh, put your biases outside at the door. I mean, you just have these stereotypes that you don't even think about, right?
Yeah.
And we see a lot of people in the library who do not know anything about technology, and these guys are totally up to the latest.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really cool. I felt like I was getting really good advice working with them and with Mike. So sorry to be so revealing. Anyway. I mean, maybe they were like, I don't know. Anyway. I had not seen that kind of expertise in ever. So, anything to add?
Not really, just that the process is proceeding exactly the way it was expected to, and you know, we do have every indication that we're still on budget, and I mean, we're 2 months away from really knowing where that, you know, really having that confirmation of the contractor's part of the budget. And of course, there's still lots of other budget items like furniture and so forth that are still going to be out there beyond that date that we'll still be working to get numbers for. So just because of the fact that they fit in later in the project.
Right, exactly.
So budget's going to be fluid throughout, and then the only other aspect of the budget is that we will have these identified alternatives that will be listed in the budget and in the contracts that we'll be able to exercise if we find more money for the project. which sort of leads into the whole effort that the foundation's working on. So, so anyway, that's it's all manageable, and it's going. It looks to me like even the architects are on schedule.
Yeah, I think they are.
Quite
Yeah,
good for
at
them.
least on time schedule. Yeah, which is great.
So
Good.
important for all of us.
Yes, it is. It's good.
I submitted a grant today for $20,000 for the Oregon Parks. They have a Preserve Oregon grant out there, so we'll see if we get that. That we're going to put it against masonry restoration is what we ended up deciding on that. So there's a few of those things out there that could help us along too. It's more than a few, I think. So anyway, it's just identifying them and going after them. And then we're probably going to end up doing some early site preparation for the utilities, and some of that will be permanent, but some of it will be temporary. But it will hopefully happen in June, but it's a little bit up in the air right now as to when it's going to happen. And the trenches and for the lines that need to be dug outside the footprint of the addition. So while that work is happening, that whole back area will be fenced off, and they don't have the final drawings on that yet, so they don't know how far forward it is going to come, but it will come up into that driveway and potentially into the playground area right at the corner where the slide is. But we don't know yet. So stay tuned. I should know soon, and I will let you guys know via email, because anything that goes into the playground will be something that will make people unhappy. Yes.
Have there been any inquiries from the media about our project?
Really?
I find that odd. It's a $10 million project going on underneath the nose. Nobody's asking any questions.
Well, yeah, maybe they asked about it early on or something. I don't know. We had a couple when it first got approved.
They don't have a gun attached to it, so it's probably not news.
Yeah, no, and that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we'll probably get some media around when we have the groundbreaking.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So, and that would be good, hopefully. All good media.
Now we're going to have a giant protest regarding the trees.
Well, so Laura can help me design a little tree hugging project program or something. We can decide if we should do that ahead of the groundbreaking or what we should do with that.
Maple or a tree.
Maple, that's true.
So it's all going well. Any other questions?
Communications.
Is it okay, DA? DA's joined us, so each one of you, we do things differently, so you'll be surprised. I came prepared. The minutes were ready, and I thought, oh, I could do a better job than if I tried to pull it off the top of my head. And off the top of my head is we're going to start moving fast. And so we're talking about databases, getting databases to track our donors. We're talking, we're going to be the showcase nonprofit for the Chamber of Commerce golf tournament this year.
Nice.
And it is nice. It is nice. And Pam is, not Pam herself, but B&B Leasing is going to sponsor a team for us. So, and there's a possibility of another team. And we'll again do a basket. Last year we did, the foundation did a basket for a raffle for that. So they're going to start working on grants, and I know that Mo and Karen and Claire met with the grant writer, that we're hiring a grant writer. We have a certain number of hours that we're going to try and limit it to so that we can get the appropriate grants for you guys, for you. And we're really excited about it. But also besides that, we're also going to hire somebody to help us set up the database. So we're looking into purchasing a database and then having them input the material so we can keep track of everything. That's really important when you're raising funds to be able to give out your thank you notes and know who gives when and make some of those looking at those. Karen's going to be working on donor solicitation packets because we're just about ready to start going to people asking for money. Letterhead's ready. We've got naming opportunities set up. We've looking into investments and endowments. My husband's got the website going. The case statement's on its way. So, anything you wanted to ask in particular? We're really excited, but it's going to really go fast. It's, we've spent
good.
all this time, 5 years, 6 years, sitting and waiting and waiting and waiting and saying we can't do this because we don't know enough, we can't move along, and now here it is. It's time to get it done.
Good.
I'm excited.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Did you see anything different? Remember
Well,
anything different?
You might mention that there is floating around here a sample of the proposed donor wall or donor plaque.
Yeah,
I gave that to the architects.
Okay, so that, anyway, it's floating around, and so there's
cool.
Yeah, there,
Too nice for the low price we were first suggesting, so.
but so these things are starting to shape up.
Really?
And then the other thing is, just reviewing the budget, it's going to give us a lot of the little indicators of where those donor opportunities are. And so there's kind of a list starting to develop over what those really represent.
And we're talking about the difference between investments and endowment. Because, endowment, you can only live off of the interest.
Right.
And so we want to make sure that as things are needing to be replaced at the library, that there's money for it. So, we're trying to walk that fine line. So we're working on all that stuff. We have so many committees. I don't know.
Good job, thank you. Any other communications? Mo? Nothing? Okay. Future agenda items, discussion, board?
I just might make a comment that our timing is going to be pretty tight when we get our final budget numbers and then get in front of city council and get their approval. And we probably, as the library board, ought to be involved in recommending to the city that we
I would agree.
proceed.
Oh, that's a really good thought.
And all of those meetings are going to happen right at the beginning of August. So get out your vacation schedules and let's start thinking about where you can cancel.
Yeah, because I'm not around.
I'm gone the
in
first
August.
week.
You might have them by the last week of July.
Yes. Well, we might have, it's very possible we might optimistically have a GMP as early as the July board meeting. That's a possibility. It depends on how things are pulled together.
When is the July board meeting? Gotta look at the right thing
So that would be July 8th.
8th, yeah.
here. Yeah, so.
That's very tight, but it might
It
happen.
is. 'Cause in one scenario, we had talked about going to the commission meeting on the 15th, but we decided that was really too tight to,
The 15th of July?
yeah. Yeah, but so it's possible that we would have some numbers in there.
Well, there's some other factors, and one of the reasons we don't necessarily want to go on the 15th is that we won't, it's hard to ask the city to say, go ahead, when we don't have permits and we
Right,
don't
and we won't have permits.
land use approval and so forth.
But if we have the GMP, we
But we
could ask
certainly could
the
make a
library
recommendation.
board to approve that part.
Correct.
Or
we did that.
make a recommendation to the city commission. That would be great. So, so stay tuned. I mean, we could even move our July meeting potentially
The end.
towards the end, yeah.
Did enough ahead of time because I'd be, yeah.
What's your schedule? When
I
are
don't
you
have
gone?
anything necessarily planned out yet, but I'm out a lot in July and August.
Mhm.
If I know, I can plan what I'm doing around it. But
Okay.
I'm definitely not here the 2nd through the 8th. I will be at the Library of Congress.
Fun.
As a summer teacher institute on primary sources. The
Oh,
Rosa Parks
awesome.
collection, yeah.
Oh,
You know, I'm
cool.
pretty psyched. So.
Yeah, that's such a fun building to visit. Very
But
cool.
we actually get to dig into the collections, so I'm pretty psyched.
good.
And then our actual August meeting is scheduled to be after all of the big events.
Right.
So we probably really need to focus on July if we can get, if we can get all the budget data together.
Yeah, well, so I'm thinking that, potentially if we looked at July 22nd or 29th, because those are not commission meeting nights, and those are, we're kind of used to a Wednesday, and that would, either as an extra meeting or an alternative date, then we would know that we'd have a target that was before the August the 5th meeting.
Right.
So, we can keep talking about that, but I'm really glad you brought it up. 22nd or 29th, and then if we land on something like that, then people would at least know.
That's right.
Right.
And I think it's appropriate that we do provide them a recommendation.
I think
Oh,
it is too.
yeah, and something this
I would
big, I
agree.
think you guys really want to.
Yeah.
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 I mean, this is kind of like your other part of your chance to say yes, move ahead.
What day of the week are the council meetings normally?
They're Wednesday. So they're the first and third.
Okay.
So that's why in July, the second meeting is like really early in the month. So it's always kind of weird.
Well, let us know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let us know. Anything else for the? Okay. There's nothing else. We'll turn this meeting at 5:34.
All right.